After watching today, you're gonna get some more techniques live. I have some key mistakes to avoid. That way, next time during your roll, you can remember these tips and you can maintain better positions and get more submissions. You know, like what more could you ask for? Hello, welcome or welcome back. My name is Crystal. If you've watched more than one of my videos, feel free to subscribe because it does take time to make these videos. I was, sitting back on a Saturday during open mat and I saw a new person walk in and my immediate reaction was like, oh, we have a new purple belt on the mat. Like, give me some fava beans and Chianti because we're gonna see what this person has.
Are you strong enough to point that high-powered perception at yourself? Why don't you look at yourself and write down what you see? Maybe you're frightened.
A census taker once tried to test me. I ate his liver with some fava beans and a nice Chianti.
Let's break down this roll. To begin, I'm working this new guard passing technique where I stand up, get the knees to the right, then get the knees to the left while keeping an inside tight position with my right elbow. He's doing a good job of pushing my right knee down to keep me inside of his guard. I can then swim to an underhook. From here, I go for a knee-in guard break. So what this does is it opens the guard. This right here is super, super useful. Anytime that you're trying to pass guard, if you can reach over and grab their ankle so that what that does is that prevents them from getting a knee in. So you can get, in this case, it's my right knee, the knee closest to his hip. Okay, this is like one of the most important tips you're ever gonna hear on the internet. If you're trying to pass guard and you're trying to maintain top position, and if you're finding, let's say they're always getting a knee in, they're always regarding, and it's difficult for you to maintain side control, block that near side hip. So for example, his near side hip is the hip closest to me. Think of that like a linchpin, okay? You need to keep something in there. You need to keep a posted hand. You need to keep your knee. There always needs to be something maintaining contact against that hip until you're ready to cleanly transition to your next move. That is going to help you maintain side control because it's going to limit their ability to regain guard. Like this is solid gold right here, people, because you're gonna see what happens, okay? Now from here, when I was passing guard, he held on to my head. So because my head is underneath his tricep, that gives me a perfect position to then do a head and arm choke if I can get over his legs. However, do you see my transition? My transition was not clean because I tripoded up and I neglected to put anything on his near side hip, which allowed him to regard. Had I gone directly for a knee slide over and like windshield washered my feet over to get to the other side, or grabbed his armpit and then used my near side arm to block his hip, that would have allowed me to transition cleanly to the choke instead of him regarding. And this is something that happens very frequently, and I guarantee you if you start thinking about blocking that near side hip, that's going to give you more chances to get subs. So since he already has that knee in, I go to underhook his other knee and do a throw-by technique. And here he does a good job of basically just framing and shoving me back into his guard.
if you're not wrong, then why? Everything is alright. So we gonna walk, alright, through the roads of creation. We the generation, tell me why. Try to break tribulation. Try to break tribulation. Exodus, alright. Movement of your people, oh yeah, oh yeah.
Now here, I know he's going for a sweep because he has my ankle, so I grab his head and basically do a little mini can opener in order to prevent getting swept.
We the generation, tell me why. Try to break tribulation. Try to break tribulation. Exodus, alright. Movement of your people, oh yeah.
And here is, this is such a beautiful pendulum sweep. I know for beginners, they typically teach you another type of sweep, a scissor sweep or flower sweep, but this sweep is super effective. And I'll tell you the difference between getting this sweep and getting punched in the face. Okay, quick story. So at my second jiu-jitsu school I ever went to, I moved to Boston, so I went to Boston. So I went to Boston BJJ, and my MMA coach there said, Crystal, be careful of doing the pendulum sweep, because he's like, anytime somebody underhooks my leg, I just sit on that underhook and I punch them in the face, like during an MMA fight. So ever since then, I kept that in mind, and anytime somebody tries to do a pendulum sweep on me, the underhook leg, I will just put all of my weight and trap their arm, and it's a psychological reversal, because they're going from, oh yeah, I have the sweep, to oh crap, I can't get my arm back. And it's difficult to sweep if I put all of my weight on that one side, then they can't sweep me to the other side. However, the thing that is the difference in making this sweep work and getting punched in the face is sneaky purple belt tricks, okay? And by sneaky, I mean sneaky, and sneaky means a good setup. When we break down as to why I couldn't sit on his underhook hand, this is why. He does a beautiful job of setting up by getting a grip on the back of my head. And because of this collar tie, I am focused on maintaining a good posture, clearing that tie, and then while all of this is happening, that's when he already is in motion to do the sweep, while he gets up on his elbow to kind of load up for the sweep, and then shoots his hand under as he does the sweep in the opposite direction. And that combination is what allows him to get it, because that timing with that setup is how he got the sweep without me doing what I typically do and just sit on the arm. So yeah, so you know, I've seen other purple belts just also create angles and then try to sneak the arm in. But word of advice, if you try to blatantly go to underhook that leg for the pendulum sweep, upper belts will just pin your arm. Rule number one, when you are on the bottom and you are trying to escape mount, is to make sure things do not get worse. You can see here I am hell-bent on ensuring he is not going to get high mount, because once somebody gets their hips high, then your hips are out of the equation and it's very hard to escape. So in an MMA fight, keep inside position, and in order to prevent, and even in self-defense, in order to prevent getting punched in the face, bridge. That way they need to use their hands to post, or else their head is just going to go into the floor. Remember, if you're ever on the bottom of mount, never ever ever turtle, because if you put your elbows up, they're going to get high mount. Okay, so no, you can turtle if you have them inside your guard, yes, but if you're on the bottom and you're mounted, use your hips to defend against getting punched in the face. From here, what I'm doing is advancing position. So typically, if you can capture like a leg between yours, you've then advanced technically from the bottom of mount to the bottom of half guard. And I was working escapes while he got a Kimura. And look at this. I wanted to show you this really cool Williams guard. So underhooking your own leg into this Williams guard, and it's a very controlling position that you can then use to then go into other techniques. And right here, I had a funny feeling I was going to get kicked in the head. So that's why I stopped and asked them to go down the mat to continue their roll. That way, you know, it would decrease the probability of somebody getting kicked in the head. All right, so from here, we're starting from half guard as a knee shield. And again, I stand up to try to do this passing technique I recently learned. And from here, I go for a crossface. Here is a tip that will help you with your guard passing. I typically always do this, but this time I tried to do something different and it failed. But do you see my arm? That should be underhooked. That should be underhooking his arm. And the reason why I got swept is because I did not get that far side underhook. And I always get that, but this time I was thinking maybe if I can just get my arm out far enough, it would be enough weight on the opposite side to prevent getting swept, but it obviously failed and resulted in me trying to do a double underhook escape, but my arm was then isolated and he got a Kimura. So, it's always nice to try new things, but there are some principles in jiu-jitsu like diagonal control over the torso that is, I have not seen it be disproved. So we start again. I am on the bottom of half guard. And I am looking to capture his leg in order to do a half guard sweep. And now he has my head and arm, and I'm fighting against being Kimura'd again, so he transitions to a gift wrap. And then from here, he tries to jump over to take the back, but anytime you're crossing over their body like this, you have a very high risk of getting caught inside their guard or having at least one leg get caught inside their guard. So here, remember, if anybody's trying to transition over you, or if you're trying to transition, there's always, the legs are very easy to get caught in. And anytime you have a gift wrap on you, if you can just get your elbow over your head, then you can escape the gift wrap. Now from here, he is trying to maintain good posture, and what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to capture one of his arms to then go for then get an angle and set up an attack, or at least break his posture. And here's a really excellent move, that guard break where you just put the knee in and you pin the hips to the ground. It's extremely I love efficiency, so it's like a great way to do it. So from here, I'm focused on getting a deep half guard and going for some half guard sweeps. And from here, when I transition to my knees, anytime that I can get to my knees, I get to my knees. And from here, he goes for a back take. When somebody's trying to choke you out, the key thing is hand control, so the hand fight. So I'm constantly controlling the wrist of the choking arm, and then trying to get these arms basically under my armpits. And at the same time, I'm focused on clearing the foot hooks and then also getting over their bottom knee. So after I successfully escaped the rear naked choke and his back control, he was like, I'm done. Doesn't like do live rounds frequently, and it's basically like a different type of, fighting takes a lot of energy. And that's a lesson in that anytime that you feel like, let's say you're rolling with somebody and let's say, I don't know, maybe you just don't feel right. It's always okay to stop the roll even if the round it has not ended. Like here the round did not end. And he was like, yeah, he's like basically tapped and said, yeah, I'm good. The lesson is anytime that if you're rolling and even if it's in the middle of the roll and it would be awkward for you to just say no, like it's okay. Like it's actually part of self-defense to be able to stand up for yourself and communicate clearly like what you're feeling. That way, you know what I mean? You can like follow your inner guidance. Like, so, it's always good to follow that stuff. So thank you so much for watching. I'm happy I could create another video for you. If you enjoy watching jiu-jitsu and getting jiu-jitsu tips, I welcome you to subscribe because, we always have good stuff coming out. All right, and keep on training, keep on, doing what you feel is right, and until next time, bye.
Playing life short, so I ain't waiting to like start betraying them. It's twice as hard to get a charge paying them, so I ain't paying attention to what you're saying. Raindrops keep falling on my brain.